Så hej og velkommen til, or in English, hi and welcome to all. I'm going to have this webinar today about strengthening your inbound leads and also having an introduction to the new feature in webCRM we call forums. So, if we just, as the clock is now 3 o'clock, so let's just start the webinar, the presentation. Good. So first an introduction. My name is Anne, and I work as a consultant for the webCRM product, and I've been doing so through the last 2.5 years. Yes, and some of you may know me already from consultancy I've helped you with. But a little bit of the housekeeping rules for this session. This session is being recorded and shared along with the presentation deck that I'm showing you now. You can ask questions through the chat, so you can't do it during the presentation, but you can type it in the chat and then we will take it in the last 15 minutes of this call. And if there are some questions that we don't get around in this session, then of course we will follow up on everything and contact you afterwards so we can talk about it. Yes. So, what's in it for you, and why are you listening today? Of course, this is about strengthening your inbound leads and getting an introduction to the forums. So, we are going, of course, to talk a little bit about what is inbound leads and how can forms in webCRM help you with it. We go through how you set it up and an example of how to do it in the system. So hopefully you get inspiration to either do it yourself or contact us so we can help you with the setup. So first things first, here's the agenda. So first we talk about what is inbound lead generation. Then we go on to an introduction to the forms where we head into the system and talk about the key elements, the settings, the layout and setup, layout and design, and of course all the submissions and statistics on it. So first, what is inbound lead generation? Well, inbound lead generation is actually a method of attracting customers to your brand. So when a company as yours may put out specific targeted content, it is to appeal to an ideal customer or maybe a specific customer segment within your customer portfolio. So of course this content aims to push the prospect into some kind of action. So you can start this two ways relationship that eventually or hopefully results in a sale. So why work with it at all? Well, during the last decades, both B2C customers and B2B customers prefer to do their own research into products and services before even engaging with salespeople. So they get to choose how and when they want to interact with the selling customer. And this content that we are creating is a way of getting them to contact us. So as you can see here, we also have some different examples of what this content could be or how you get a response from these prospects. So either you can upload an ebook or a white paper that your prospects can download. You can get them to sign up to your newsletter, signing up for a webinar, maybe some course registration, or maybe giving them a free trial of a product or an online demo. But how do we get in contact and how do we get the information on these leads? Well, this is where we come across forms, and this is we can say the tool that we're going to use to get these leads into our system. So when using the tool, you get the freedom to design your own forms so they correspond to your brand guidelines and of course the purpose of the content that you have created. You don't need to have any knowledge of HTML, and you don't need to set up any integrations. And when setting up the forms, you decide which actions should be taken afterwards in the webCRM system. And you can also view and analyze the different data created by forms, created or updated in the system. But I think we should take a look into the system where we can see how we can work with forms and set it up. So let me just change here one time. Good. So hopefully everybody can see that I'm in a webCRM system now. So if we want to create a new form in the system, what we do is we go up here and choose utilities. And from here on, you can see we have a tab called forms. If we want to create a new one, you can see we already have some here. We have one for newsletters, we have some for customer satisfaction, and one for unsubscribing newsletters. And you can see we have different modes here for what it is. We both have the public ones and we have the private ones as well. So if you create a public form, you get an URL. So this is a public form that everybody can access if they have this URL. And examples of that is, as you can see, a newsletter form, maybe registration for a webinar, creating a new support ticket, or a course registration. And as you can see here, we also have some private ones, and that can of course be unsubscribe newsletters, sending out service for feedback on how support cases was handled. But what I want to go through today is creating a form where people can sign up and get a white paper about being a CRM expert. So what we do, of course, to start with is click on the plus here, where we can give it a name. So let's just call it white paper sign up, how to become a webCRM expert. And here we choose the public mode because it's something everybody should have access to. If we click create, then we can see we get straight into the form editor where we can set up the form. So in the middle here, you can see how the form looks right now. And on the right side, you can see all the different settings and design options that we have. So when building a form, then you can choose from the key elements over here. So we have a submit button as already added here. We have some content where you can, that is not a field, but just some text you want to add. We can add images and we can add new fields if we want to. So if we want to create a new form, then let's look at the different fields that we already have here. So for creating a form where they need to sign up to get my white paper, of course, I want to know the company name. I would like their first and last name, and I would also like their email. I would also like for them to check or sign off that I have the permission to send this white paper to them. So either I can, under person fields over here, if I have a checkbox called newsletter, I could add that to it. In this test system, I don't. So on here, I want just to add a new field that I don't have in the system. When doing so, and clicking edit, then I can both decide what the field should be called and also if it should be mapped to a specific field in the system. If I don't want, and then I just choose it here and select from all the fields I have. If I don't want this, I choose what type of field I want and then give it the name I want to. Like this. So if I want any other information to be filled out by the customer, I both have the organization fields and persons fields over here. If I click on it, it drops down. So right now I can see I have the name of the company already here. It's marked with a gray. And otherwise I can just drag and drop all the information I would like in my form as well to be filled out by the prospects when seeing this formula. If I don't want it, I want to remove it, then I just click on the trash bin here and then it's gone again. So here I can choose whatever field I have in the system. And the same goes for all the persons field as well. You can see them here. What's important to know is for all the mandatory fields that we have in the system, they have to be added. So for example, company name is a mandatory field, as you can see here, and I don't have the option to make it non-mandatory. The same goes for the last name here. That's a mandatory field. I can't remove that. But for first name, that is not a mandatory field. So if I didn't want this to be mandatory, I could just mark it as non-mandatory. In this case, I want it to be mandatory. And for the same, this sign me up, I want this to be mandatory as well. And all mandatory fields are marked with this little red star in the system. So now I have all my fields in place for what I want the customer to fill in. Now it's time for setting up how I want my form to act. I do this by clicking on the settings here. And here you can see we have an auto process. So this is if I want my form or whatever is filled out in the form to be automatically processed and created in the system. If I want to manually handle this, then I just deactivate it. If I want my form to expire after a certain days, then I can activate this. And again, here on the title, I can give a title for my form. Right now you can see it's the same as my working title here, but this title is what is showcased up in the URL. So in this case, I don't want people to see a white paper sign off, so I just delete this one. So they only see how to become a webCRM expert. Under submit actions, you can see or you can choose what is supposed to happen when you submit a form and click the submit button. So either you can choose for showing a message, as you can see down here, it says thank you, or you can redirect it to another URL where there is thank you for signing up, maybe some other information, guiding them through to other pages on your website. So this is up to you to decide what you want to do. I'll keep it on this one for now. Under my organization or entity tab here, you can see what has been linked. So For the fields on the organization, which is the name in this case, I can see that it is linked up to the field called name in the system. Here you can also see the territory is chosen. I haven't put it in here, but this is because territory is a mandatory field in my system as well. So this needs to be filled out. And here I can choose whatever I want to for the different territories I have. If this white paper sign up is only for Denmark, then I can choose that this is for Denmark in this case. And I can add other fields that I want to give information to, but without the prospect even knowing about it or having to fill it out. So this is if I want to update or add information on the customer view or the organization without having the customer to put it in here. But for the organization, it is enough for me with the name, the territory, and then I have a field called, if I can find it, original lead source. And because I know that this lead is coming from my web page, then I can just choose that I want this to be for my website. So every new prospect created from this form will have the original lead source called websites. So if I close this down again and open the one for persons, then I can also here choose, see what has been mapped up and add new fields if I want to. In this case, I want my Apsys subscription, because I have an integration for Apsys, to be marked in the product news. And I also want, because I have a checkbox called white paper, I want this to be checked as well. So I know this person has received the white paper that we have. When working with organization and persons and setting it up, when submitting it, it is important to know for the form to know what to do with it. And that's why we both under the organization and here under persons, you can see we have the mode feature as well. And under the mode feature, you can see we have 3 options. So find existing or creating new one. So find one that matches almost, and then updating, or not updating, then adding the information to this existing organization in the system. You can create or you can create or update existing one if they match, and you can also create new one always, so you don't try to match at all. And the difference between the two ones is that if we, for example, take webCRM AS as an example, if I type in for the company name just webCRM and not the AS, then for the first one, it looks at it as a match, and then it doesn't update the name, but it just adds the new contact person and email address in this case. And for the second one, it would update everything. So it would update the name from webCRM AS to webCRM instead of. But for the organization and person mode here, you can choose which one it should be. So you can also see we have an ad here, and that is if you want to add other entities to be created. So in this case, we only have information on the company and contact person, but maybe we want to internally create an activity for ourselves so we can take action on this form being submitted. So if I choose activity, I click on it, you can see here, we can set date and hour for when we want the date of the activity. In this case, I will say 7 days. I can add who the responsible should be. In this case, I can also add what the action should be. So this is a follow-up, and also add here maybe a description and just call it white paper download. Then the salesperson know what this follow-up is regarding. When doing so, let me just click save. Then I have set up what should happen when the prospects hits the submit button. An organization, person, and activity will be created in the system so we can, a salesperson or marketing persons, work actively with it within the system. But when looking at this form right now, it doesn't look very intriguing. So here under the design, we can work a little bit with how we want it to look. So maybe just to make it a little more nice to look at, I can add a picture, and then I can just drag and drop it here. And as you can see, I can put it wherever I want to, next to a field, over or in between the ones that we already have. But I will just put it in the top for now. So here you can either upload a photo or you can use an URL for an image you have. And let me just find one here. I put in an URL. And now, as you can see, it looks a little bit better. But if I want to add some more content, maybe I want to add a text that describes what this is all about, then I can do it like this. See how this looks. Copy in my text. Here I can edit it in any way I want to. You can see over in the editor, it is edited in the same way, so you can see live the editing that you are making. And this is from the editors that you already know in the system for creating PDF documents. So then it looks like this. And of course, I can edit how I think it looks better over here. When I'm happy with it, I just close it and save it. And then I can see it here, how it looks. Maybe I think I have a lot of text here and it looks a bit stupid with my expert down on the lower level. Then I can click on the design here. And under the box, I can choose the width of my form I want to create. So in this case, if I just make it a little bit bigger and save it, then you can see the form is bigger now and looks a little bit better. So here under the design, I have some different options for manipulating or creating a different look for this form so it talks into the brand guidelines that you have. You can choose a background for the entire form here. In this box, you can create or what can you say, alter the way that the form looks by altering its width, creating or choosing another background color if you want to. Yes, under the labels here. So under the labels, you have the option to change either the sizing or the fonts of the labeling. In the description is if we have given an extra text from the company name, then we can decide how we want this to look as well. In the fields here, we can decide how the fields, not the labeling, but the different fields and what we write in them, which sizing they should be. So if I do it a little smaller, you can see the sign me up is even smaller. And here we also have some different settings for this. Under the button here, you can change the way that the button looks by the colors of it, again, so it matches whatever you want to. And here we can maybe say, well, we want the button in this color, and then we just want it to be a little gray and hovering over like that, and save it. We also have this custom CSS, and this is for if you want custom CSS in the system to alter the way that your form looks. So when saving this and looking in the editor here, it looks pretty nice. But if we want to see it in, or could say in action on the URL, then we need to make it enabled, and under here in actions, you can share the link. And if you do that, you get this link. And then if you copy it, and from here on, you can also choose the embedded code if you want to. Let me just see if I can do this without changing anything. No, I couldn't. Let me just see. Let me just try again. And now I just need to double check if you can see it. You don't, so I just need to change the screen. So here you see it right now. So this is how it looks when we have it in display, in full display. So when having this in full display, and say we have activated it or enabled it, it's actually ready for use. So if I want to fill out, in this case, webCRM, I also want to fill in my name. In this case, I just have another email address I want to sign in for. And then if I click submit here, of course, I need to remember to sign me up. If I click submit here, then I come to the submit page that's just saying thank you. So this is how the formula works. And if I just switch back to the other page again, here, good. So when doing so, hopefully I have created myself in the system right now. So if we just take a look here and we search for all organizations, in this case in webCRM, then you can see now we have a contact person named Anne. And if I look at the details I have put in here, it's the same as the one from the form. If I look here on the details where I can see the log information, you can see that there has been created a form and all the information that I have put in. And above, you can also see that I have created a new or an automation flow has been running, sending me the form where I can see my or download my white paper that I have sent out in this case. So if I click it here, hopefully you can see it. So this is what have been sent. So hi Anne, thank you for signing up. And here I can then download my white paper. So this is what happens when the customer signs up through this form that I have put in. Good. So if we look a little back on the forms again, so going to utilities, going into forms again, we were going to talk a little bit about submission and statistics as well. So when looking at the form page here, you can see we both have submissions and statistics here. So if I click on submissions, you can see right now it is empty, and that is because it is filtered on the unprocessed. If I just click on all instead of, you can see all of the submissions that have been, at what time with the timestamp, and what has happened. So you can see here the green colors, a person has, or an organization was found, a person was created, and an activity was created. In other cases, you can see it's blue, and that just means that something was updated instead of created. So here you just have an overview of all the submissions that you have, and you can filter on it either by the status of it or on the dates that they were created. If you have forms that are not processed automatically, the way that you can see them is that you up here on the man, you can see the form submissions, and there will be a number up here. And from here on, you can actually just click on the form submissions, and then you get right to the page here that says unprocessed, and then you can see all the forms that you need to process before they are created in the system. So this was the submissions. So if we go to the statistics as well. So right here on the statistics, you can see the different forms that we have, and you can see we can filter on either the date here. So if I want to not only look at the last month, but maybe the last 6 months, then you can see the graph has changed based on the month here, but again, you can change it for however you want to see the data as well. You can also see what data it is created from over here on the different forms. And if you only want to see, for example, on the unsubscribe or maybe newsletter form, then you just click it, and then the graph is altered according to this. So you can either filter on what form you want to look into, the date period you want to see, and by this drop down, you can alter the way that you see the information in the system. So I think that was all I had planned for today. We went a little bit, I think we held time up pretty good, but of course, if you have any questions, I think now would be a good time. I think we have almost 15 minutes for it. As far as I can see, there is none, but maybe my...
There are two questions.
Yeah,
One person is asking, when is this feature available?
it is available now. You just need to have the SMB license to have it. And then it should be in your system. But of course, this is for the new view of the system. But it should be available. Otherwise, please contact us. But with a SMB license.
Yeah, and both questions were on how to find the forms if they can't find it under utilities. So that would have to do with your license.
Yeah, I would assume it has to do that. Otherwise, we have to look, of course, into the specific system for if something there is a bug for it. But I assume it's something with the license. Yeah.
And we have one person asking when the old view disappear. When will the old view disappear?
Well, if it's a general old view in webCRM, it's not gonna disappear at all. As you can see, of course, in my system, it's new views all over. But if you have the old view, you're not forced to going over to the new view. It is by choice, and it usually is if I go into an organization here, then there will be a button on the company view or the activity view or the pipeline or order where you can choose to go over to the new view, but it's not something that we're going to force you to do. It's up to you to decide if you want to do it.
And please keep in mind that if you change the view for you, you will change the view for everyone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I see no further questions.
Yeah. Otherwise, we could just wait 2 minutes if somebody is typing something, or otherwise.
We have a new question. It says, who do
Mhm.
I contact if I do have SMB license but cannot see the forms?
Let's just say that we can either you can contact the support to say it, otherwise we can just follow up. I assume we can see who it is. But otherwise you can contact the support. Yeah, then we will reach out to you.
I see no further questions.
Okay. Well, otherwise, if questions pop up, you are free, of course, to contact us. You can contact us through support, or if you have a webCRM contact person already. So please reach out. We would like to help you if you need any assistance in forms or anything else.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe I can talk to them and maybe we can make this set up. But
Yeah,
what I would like is if you gave me
Yeah,
your wish list for doing this.
good. You have some
I will
background
stop
noise,
the
Evelyn.
yeah, I will
Yeah,
stop the recording now.
good.